feel like I'm honestly late to every party this spring.
Although I'm feeling late to every party, I am not stressing about it at all because I have a little secret. If you've been feeling behind this spring, maybe like everyone else already has done their spring cleaning, got their house clean, their solid routines down, plan, but you're still trying to find your footing, then this one is for you. Later on in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how 20 plus years of keeping a home and raising kids has taught me exactly how to effectively reset, adjust, and keep going when life shifts seasons on you. But first, let's do a little homemaking.
Hello friend, thank you for joining me today. Today's video is just gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna do kind of a vlog style, I guess, today. We're gonna make some donuts. I do know we're gonna do that. It's just gonna be kind of a fun, cozy spring homemaking video. I feel like I'm honestly late to every party this spring. Now that I am working part-time, it's just brought a new dynamic to homemaking and homesteading activities. So I recently just redid all of the family's chores. For the longest time, you probably know I sell a chore card system, and for the longest time it's worked really well. But as our family is getting older, we don't need a little children's chore card system for most of the people anymore. Now that we have adult kids. I just did a whole video talking about how I got everybody's chore systems lined out this year in record time. It only took 10 minutes. If I haven't posted it, I will be sharing the video talking about how I redid the chore system, and I did it in less than 10 minutes. So that was very exciting because normally it takes me a week to get lined out and then probably another 3 weeks, a full month to get all of the kinks worked out. But we got it done in record time this year. So right here today, I am getting ready to make some donuts. My little girl asked me yesterday if we could make donuts today, and I said, you know what? Yeah, we can make donuts. Pretty soon here, we're gonna be so busy with all the outdoor activities and garden planning and everything that we won't have as much time for baking. So let's get this done. Let's do this. So she'll be joining me in just a moment. This is my regular sourdough recipe. So we're making sourdough donuts today. And essentially the only difference is between this and my regular sourdough bread recipe is this just has more sugar in it. So it's my exact same recipe. If you want this recipe, I will share it in the description box below. You can go to my website to look it up. I get people, every time I talk about my website or share a recipe on my website, I get, of course, a lot of hits to the website, but there's always like 1 or 2 people that say, hey, I can't open your website. I wanted to address why that happens really briefly. Sometimes that happens because there is a huge influx of people to the website, but there's another reason that it happens too. If you have like a super touchy browser that you're using, sometimes it will not open the links to my website. So that is something that you can try different browsers, but if you've tried a variety of different browsers, more than likely the reason you can't open my website is because it had a huge influx of people to it. So I'm sorry about that. Back to these sourdough donuts. Right now I'm just cutting them into the sizes that I want. Now I thought about rolling them, but whenever you roll the donuts, they you have waste. So every time you roll them out and you have the little tiny pieces that you're putting back together to roll back out again, it picks up more and more flour and they become more and more dense and less fluffy. So I'm doing these differently. I'm going to do basically, what are they called? Long Johns, maple bars. That's kind of what the kids wanted, and some with some chocolate as well. But we don't have very much chocolate, so I don't know if we're gonna get to do the chocolate ganache ones, but we'll see. We'll see what I can find in the pantry. It's time to go shop. It's almost time to go shopping. Next week is shopping week. So we have shopping weeks. One of my systems that I use to keep things running smoothly is designated town days. I don't like say, oh, I feel like going to town today. I don't ever do that. They're always like set times of the month that I go shopping. And it's just something that helps keep things running a little more systematically, I guess you could say. Whenever I start running into times like what I'm experiencing right now, the spring rush, I always return back to the basics. I don't use a planner all of the time. The way I see planners are kind of like training wheels on a bicycle. So I have planners, I sell them in my shop. I also have some homemaking courses, and if you want to learn like in depth how I use planners, you can do so in my homemaking courses too. And if you just want to learn more about homemaking and faith-filled homemaking, be sure to check out the homemaking courses that I have. If you can't afford them, I do have free master classes as well. And I also have memberships on Patreon that you can join, where you can learn all kinds of homemaking information for only $5 a month. But anyways, long story short, what I'm getting at is whenever I start going through any kind of a season change like what we're experiencing with spring happening, and I start feeling a little more overwhelmed, I always go back to the planner. I establish the systems in the planner, I map things out, take some time to do that, and make sure I adhere to it until I have the new routines, the new rhythms, the new systems memorized. So whenever I have to tweak something or change something, I find that works for me. Just return to the planner, get everything mapped out there, and then it's in one central space, and I have kind of just something to keep me going and keep my thoughts clear while I'm learning the new ropes. I guess, does that make sense? So in my planner, I also have all kinds of helpful papers and things like the chick hatching calendar and things like that. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop fiddling with these because I know my little girl wanted to come in and help with a bunch of this. So I'm gonna call her in now.
One of the most critical pieces of a reset for me is to reset from a place of rest and a place of fulfillment. So this right here is actually part of the reset for me. Before the outdoor chaos of spring and all the demands really hit, I really want to savor these last slower moments, like baking inside and making donuts with my girls, being present in my kitchen, or maybe sewing, finishing up some sewing projects. These are the things that I feel like reset me, and I think for everybody it's going to be a little different. Maybe for you it's finishing a book or some other craft project. But starting from a place of peace and rest, I find is one of the most critical pieces to resetting with clarity. And when you're resetting, you don't want to do it from a place of chaos, because then your reset will have those notes of chaos throughout them. But if you can reset from a place of peace and clarity, then you will have a much more solid system that you're resetting. So when my daughter asked if we could make these donuts, I actually had plans for the day. I had a video I needed to film. And when she requested to do these, I said, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. I realized I could swap out the plans that I had and we could do this instead. And I could kind of kill two birds with one stone by getting the video that I needed to get filmed for today, plus capturing some beautiful moments in the kitchen making these donuts with my daughter. This day was so special, so fun, that I told my little girl, let's do something like this every Monday and let's call them Marvelous Mondays. So now we have Marvelous Mondays. The first one we did donuts. The second Marvelous Monday, we made some lip gloss. And we actually came up with an amazing recipe. I put it on Patreon for you guys if you want to check that out. Meanwhile, in the living room, the boys are working on some lessons and fun craft projects. Whoa, is that a butterfly?
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Like any other glaze, just do like a half a cup. I don't think we're gonna need a whole cup. Because since you made all this already, we're going to be using mainly this.
Yes, because I love chocolate.
My daughter had a very clear picture in her mind of what she wanted these donuts to be like, and it was so fun following her lead through the process. We made an exciting discovery through it too. This little slow cooker that I got a little while back works so well for deep frying.
Okay, so this is working. Every time I've made donuts before, I would make them on the stovetop and I could not keep the temperature consistent in the grease. And so they would either get too soggy and I would have troubles with them being way too soggy, or they would burn because the temperature would get too hot. This is holding the temperature steady. Yeah, so this is perfect. It's holding the temperature just perfectly steady.
I wanna take you far away, deep into the country where we
That looks
can
so good.
be
We should do 2 coats of this, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanna give you all the space
Do it again.
Oh,
so
another?
you can ride on your saddle.
Okay, I think that should be the last one. Oh, that looks cute.
Wait for right there.
Oh, I don't know how to do this.
This land cannot live without the rain.
They're not gonna be like soft donuts. I
Rain's
don't think.
work nothing.
Good. Thank you, me and
Don't they
mommy.
need to be cooler?
This spring, I'll have been a wife for 22 years. I've been a mom for 21, but I've actually been doing this homemaking thing for over 33 years, longer than I've been married. And one of the most important things that I've learned through all of these years, it doesn't have to do as much with systems or planners, which might sound controversial because if you've been here a while, you know what a big believer I am in having a planner that works for you. But here's the thing, sometimes you have a good planner and sometimes you have the will and you have the way, and still there's a fight because it feels like everything in the cosmos just rises against you. I used to stress about that. Depending on what it is, I still do at times, I'll be honest, but sometimes I've learned you just need to be more tenacious. That is a thing. But I've also learned that sometimes there's something else going on behind the scenes you can't see. So here's an example. I used to stress hard about getting things in the ground at the right time, the seeds, you know. We have a very short growing season where we live, and if you do not get things in the ground in time, you simply won't have it. You'll run out of time. Here in the Pacific Northwest where I live, you'll find that everybody lives by a little bit of a faster pace than they do in other parts of the lower part of the United States. And it is because I think for centuries, people have, I'm not sure evolved is the right word to say it, but we know winter's coming and we've got to be prepared before winter, depending on what our life is, our lifestyle. But back to what I was saying, I used to stress about getting things in the ground at the right time. So I would push and plan and muscle through. And sometimes that is what you got to do. You really can't be lazy because where there's a will, there is a way. But sometimes I'd fight it through, muscle it through, get those peas in the ground, get the carrots in the ground, get the cabbage in the ground, and then find out later that God already knew another snowstorm was coming that the weatherman knew nothing about, and the seeds rotted. So the fight wasn't mine to win after all. Now, sometimes the resistance isn't an obstacle, it's just a redirect. After all these years, here's what I've learned. If you start feeling anxiety, mounting anxiety, that frantic, everything is behind, I have to fix this now feeling, it's usually a sign you're trying to fight something that is not yours to fight, or carry something that's not yours to carry. As a high achieving woman, you know this, I know this, there is a challenge when it comes to resting in the Lord, but it is important that we rise to that challenge. We can do what we can, but from there, it's so important that we learn to trust that what isn't getting done in our timing might simply be for a good reason. And maybe it's not a failure, maybe it's a redirect. And there is faith in that to be found.
Every spring in our community, there is what is called a farm swap, where all of the homesteaders and farmers in our community, or a lot of them anyways, bring their livestock and their animals, their bunnies, their chickens, goats, sheep, just all kinds of animals to swap or sell. And there's also some crafts that are at them too. And this year for the farm swap, I think we will have one buck to sell, but beyond that, my girls are making farm-inspired hot pads. And I am just thinking they're gorgeous. Look at these big, huge ones they're making. So these are nice for casserole sizes, but I want to show you how beautiful some of these hot pads are. We found these at Walmart, by the way. So if you love any of these patterns, just head to your local Walmart. These are the pre-cut pieces, the Waverly brand. I think most of them were the Waverly brand. But aren't these just absolutely stunning and gorgeous? Normally this time of year, I have chicks that have already hatched, but the reason we are late to that is because we didn't get our roosters separated into their pens with the correct chickens at the same time. So that is what we're kind of waiting on now. But then right when I was getting ready to, so we were about ready, I was going to do a barnyard mix of hatching with our chickens and like an olive egg mix, but the week that I had intended to start, which was 2 weeks ago, the chickens just slowed down laying again for some reason. They were laying when nobody else's were laying. Nobody else's chickens were laying, but ours were. And then by the time I'm like, okay, I need to like gather up a bunch of these eggs and put them in the incubators. Suddenly the chickens were like, yeah, no. Okay, well, whatever. So we don't have any new cute little baby chicks yet. We will soon. So maybe later this spring. That will be fun. Something for you to come back for that's spring related in about a month. Now I will say in less than a month, we should have some baby bunnies, but we don't yet. So maybe by Easter, we'll have some baby bunnies.
Friend, thank you so much for watching to the end, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.
We were made for each other to hold